We are retracing the steps of Lewis and Clark, who completed the most incredible American overland journey of all time. We started in Montana, worked our way northwest to Idaho, and are now following their footsteps on a section of trail that almost killed them. This is the most historical journey I've ever been on, and one that I'll never forget. Good morning. It's been a nice morning, even though we had some clouds that were kind of looking like rain, but around us it's just been very pleasant. The whole trip has been pleasant. And it reminds me that I've been making light of some of the trials and tribulations that Lewis and Clark were going through. Like, we kind of made fun of having bear oil soup for dinner yesterday, and I went back and read the journals last night, and it really hit home how desperate they were. An example of that is 2 guys had to stay behind because they lost their horses, so Captain Meriwether Lewis was like, you guys catch up when you find them. Well, they never found the horses, and they were trailing behind the rest of the party, and they found the discarded head of one of the horses that were killed for food for the rest of the party. And they boiled that head. They ate the lips, the cheeks, the tongue, any piece of meat they could get off of it, because if they didn't, they thought they were gonna die. That's the state of mind this group was in. That said, it's hard to think that at some point they didn't come to a vista like this, look out on these mountains with layers and layers of trees and mountains beyond, and say, good Lord, this is beautiful. This is like something I've never seen before. So far on this adventure, we traveled just under 350 miles, from the western edge of Montana to smack dab in the middle of the Lolo Motorway in Idaho. The group knew there might still be a few surprises along the way, but no one could have imagined how cool this day would turn out as we started our drive to find the Indian post office.
What an absolutely beautiful morning.
This tree here is ready to come down any second.
This forest is so dense.
Just a few miles down the trail from where we camped is a very important stop. And while it's connected to Lewis and Clark because they stopped here, it carries a much more significant meaning, dating back long before any Westerners set foot in America. So this place that we just arrived at is called the Indian Post Office. That's what we've named it, but I think the Native American word is closer to the smoking place. But no matter what the name of it is, it's sacred ground. So this is a place that's been used for thousands of years, where Native Americans would come and essentially commune with the Creator. Whatever that might be for that Native American tribe that was out here, they would come and smoking was part of their culture, so maybe smoking had something to do with the communion. Post office, you know, that you get the idea of like they're sending messages or receiving messages from a post office. It's a place that feels old and new and timeless at the same time. And so I can see why this is sacred, because sitting here looking out on this ridge with these mountains with new trees, old craggy trees, cairns that have been built, you know, for whatever reason, all kind of mixed together, it feels like a thin place of some sort, where maybe worlds come together. Nimipu legend has it that the Lolo Trail, called the Kuski-Nice-Kit, which means road to the buffalo, was discovered countless years ago when a young boy was approached by a Hahats, or grizzly bear. The grizzly was ready to kill the boy, but was impressed with his bravery, and so showed him the path along the spine of the mountains and where to find food along the way. And from that point on, the Nimipu adopted the path as a way to cross the mountains to hunt, gather, and trade with other Native American tribes. We're blessed with great weather, no precip, blue skies. I mean, we really couldn't ask for better conditions to be driving this trail. Much better than what Lewis and Clark had in September. We're driving it in early July. Today is July 2nd, I believe. The road has been pretty rocky, pretty rough. We've just reached a section that's a lot smoother. And so it's kind of nice to have a little bit of smooth road underneath after all the bumpiness that we've been on. Nothing's been technical. The rocks it's just rocky and chunky. It's not like bouldery or super washed out. It's just been a little bit of everything. Nothing to keep a decently outfitted four-wheel drive vehicle off this trail at all.
While we were enjoying almost pristine conditions on this part of the trail, the Corps of Discovery was at a crossroads. They were dying of starvation and physical exhaustion, and they had to try something different. Meriwether Lewis gave orders to split the party in two, sending all of the hunters forward to find food for the rest of them. This was the equivalent to a Hail Mary pass with no time left on the clock in a football game or a penalty kickoff in soccer. Everything was on the line. The hunters diverted from the main trail to lower ground and followed a creek below. They named it Hungry Creek for obvious reasons. For a number of days, they hiked, hunted, and hoped to find good news in one of the deepest wilderness areas in America. Fortune favored the bold move, and the hunting party was able to leave fresh kills for the rest of the Corps to eat as they slowly trudged west in hope of flat ground. We also decided to make a detour for food, but in our case, we just wanted to find a nice view and enjoy lunch. And boy, did we find one.
The best day of my life. Gonna rent a bicycle and ride. If I'm alone, and I don't mind. Am I in a dream? Crazy as it seems. I think today is the best day of my life. Saw a billboard that says something like everything's gonna be alright. Laying on the car, you've got stars, I've got scars they don't see.
Well, this is one of those spots that you see on the map, and when you get there, it totally exceeds your expectations. So we were thinking we'd just come up and have lunch here, just kind of see what's at the top of this mountain. And you know, we're down in the trees, and you get these little teeny tiny windows of views, but mostly you're just seeing trees and trees and trees. And it was like that the whole drive up until the very top of this mountain is all rock with all views in every direction, and it's just spectacular. This is just a gem on the Lolo.
A few years ago when I came through this part of the Lolo, the roads were in poor shape and there were hundreds of downed trees.
Ooh, there are some tight squeezes.
This time through, though, the roads were improved and the trees were cleared by locals who worked to maintain access to one of the wildest places left in the lower 48 states.
Love, do you want love? Do you want lust? Say you don't know, maybe you just like the control. Like it all cold, but I like your drugs. Sit in my blood, maybe too much, never enough. I am your dog, I'm on your flower. All that you want, but I like you.
Well, we are just about to cruise into a campground. One of the only campgrounds that I could find on the map. It's called Rocky Ridge Lake Campground. And so it's on a lake. We're gonna check it out. I'm a little nervous about it being buggy. Of course, any campground we're nervous about there being people here. But let's go see. Well, folks, there are 0 people at this campground. So pick your spot. Best we could hope for. Nobody here. It looks like a pretty nice campground. And there's a lake somewhere.
Want me to back in, Will, or?
You made it! Adele, you
Been
can
a
stay.
long week, gotta unwind. My boss been giving me a tough time. Yep, it's all me, but I see you drowning sorrow. That's what we do.
Well, the weather is changing. We've been tracking the weather radar on our Starlink,
It looks like there's some pretty heavy rainstorms and thunderstorms heading through. We think maybe we're just gonna skirt the edge of the heavy thunder lightning stuff. But man, in just like, I don't know, maybe an hour or 2 hours, the weather has changed significantly. We're just hunkering down. We're putting everything away. We're getting ready for a little bit of weather. It's nothing that we're scared about or anything. We've been in weather before, but there's certain things that you do, you know, anything you think is gonna get wet, cover it, make sure it's, you know, well protected. Make sure that, you know, your tents are ready to receive weather, that you've got entertainment so you can read a book or watch a movie or something if the storm passes through, and do our best to enjoy it, because it is pretty fun to have a little bit of excitement with the weather coming through. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I think it's going to hit in the next 20 minutes or so, and we'll just keep an eye on it. Ladies, what do you think about the storm that's coming in? If you're just looking at the sky here, you could be like writing stories in your head.
Yeah, so I think maybe if I didn't have the radar, maybe I'd be a little more worried, but I think we're just going to get rained on and it'll be cozy. Yeah.
I mean, at one point in time, I think we might have bugged out when we were
100%.
first doing this.
Yep.
But I remember other trips where we'd probably be like, it's fine. And then we're running around like chickens with our heads cut off in the sheeting rain, like trying to pack everything up, throwing chairs underneath rigs, which we've done before.
Yep.
But it's nice to know, like, no, we're all packed up, we're ready to go. All right, here we go. To weathering the storm. Cheers.
You too. You too. Come on. It's raining outside. We're leaving the cover of the awning because we have an important mission.
Only one thing that could get us to leave.
We just realized that Chris left the bourbon in his Jeep, so we're going to get it.
So it's kind of a rescue mission.
Yeah, it is. It's just like it's a mission critical.
This is a gift from Range to Ranch.
Yeah. Let's bring him over to the awning. I just want to say, if anybody, my family, if I don't make it through this, I love you so much, and I hope you're gonna be okay. I just love you.
You need the snot bubble.
Oh, I don't have a snot bubble. We just want to open it up with a little bit of water. Here, let me. Okay. Yeah, you got a little bit of water.
Okay.
All right.
And they had dysentery for weeks.
Dysentery for weeks, just
All right.
like the losing club.
Let's taste it.
All right. Bottoms up.
Yep. You know what? It tastes the same. It tastes very tenty.
It does. I wonder why.
I wonder why.
Oh my God, is she gonna get the lead?
I don't know. She's crazy. As the weather system swirled around us, it reminded me just how brutal these storms can be. But the aftermath created an evening sky like I've never seen before. At one point, I couldn't tell whether the sun was setting or wildfire was on the horizon. This is why you don't bug out. You get things that you've never seen before. Oddly enough, even though we were staying at a campground, in some ways this location felt more remote than any of our other camping spots on the trip so far. There's something about being tucked away in the trees that makes everything else feel farther away. There's also something about sitting by a mountain lake in the morning that feels restorative, like anything is possible with a fresh start. Good morning. It is a cloudless morning after a stormy night. And it's like a good metaphor for what was happening with Lewis and Clark at the time as well. So we're reaching the western part of the Lolo Motorway. And when they got here, they came up onto a clearing and they could see about 60 miles in the distance that things started to flatten out, that there were some plains ahead and the Rocky Mountains were ending. And I think Meriwether Lewis wrote in his journal something to the effect of, "To my inexplicable joy, I saw that there was level country ahead." So it was the first time that they had hope in a very long period, hope that the mountains were gonna end, they would get back to some rivers and waterways that might help them find the Pacific Ocean. And so we're going to relive that part of the journey. They still had a few days left of navigating the mountains, and it was still really tough for them. And when they got to the level country, they had their own challenges when they got down there as well. But we're gonna enjoy this nice weather and the beautiful scenery as we make our way down into level country as well.
The west side of the Lolo Motorway holds the last remnants of one of the most pristine forests I've ever seen. The natural life cycle of Rocky Mountain deciduous pines and firs gives shade in some spots, clearings in others, and seems to be in perfect working order.
This is a really neat part of the drive.
Yeah, it is. These trees are all like sentinels.
As we inched farther west, we hit a historical marker that gave perspective on how quickly things changed in the West during the 1800s.
So this marker describes two really important things in terms of the US expanding into the Louisiana Purchase territory west. One is that it marks a point in the trip where Clark was ahead of Lewis and they were trying to find food, couldn't find any. And they found this creek that's at the bottom of this draw down here, and he named it Hungry Creek because they were hungry. So it just goes to show like what was on their minds. It was survival and hunger. The other thing is, at this time in 1805, they were receiving help from the Shoshone, from the Salish, from the Nez Perce. All these Native American tribes were very friendly, and they helped this company make it through, survive, make it over, to the Pacific Ocean. And only like 70 years later, in 1877, General Howard was pursuing the Nez Perce to essentially eradicate them from this area and put them onto a reservation. So in the short span of 70 years, things dramatically changed in terms of westward expansion and the United States of America's relationship with the Native Americans that were here when we started this trek west with Lewis and Clark. So it's just a lot to take in, a lot to think about. And this marker kind of explains both of those things.
Heading perpetually west, the Lolo does eventually come to an end. 100 miles through some of Idaho's most rugged and beautiful backcountry, blessedly accessible with four-wheel drive vehicles. A unique stretch of public land that's literally jam-packed with history. And before it ends, it offers a few last looks at this incredible land. And for me, my one moment to clear the trail, as easy as it might have been.
Now we've got a tree with a branch sticking out here. I'm just gonna break it off so we can drive through it. It's just a little low.
No trip would be complete without a "what's Will doing now" moment. I half expect you to get the chainsaw out just so you could say you did. Well, that was impressive. No jumping, no bouncing, no injury.
Now we're clear.
From here, we could start to see the valley below. Even though we were still riding up and down over the ridge, our elevation was slowly decreasing. And it was here that William Clark and his hunting party were able to move faster, find more game, and navigate the trail more accurately, picking up a momentum that would propel them to finish the most daunting 11 days of their lives. And for us, it meant we had a few last looks at the untouched open country of Idaho.
I would imagine Lewis and Clark were extremely excited to see that view and know that the mountains were behind them for a while at least.
And then we hit something that felt odd after days of driving the Bitterroot and Clearwater Mountains. Smooth, graded roads. Well, we have now come off of the mountain roads and are on these smooth, maintained forest roads as we are approaching the bottom of the mountain pass and entering into the valley. And, you know, for Lewis and Clark, this was kind of like salvation. They were getting down into flatter lands, easier wayfinding, much easier trekking, warmer temperatures, and more food. So they made their way into Weippe Valley, which is where we're going. We're going to Weippe, Idaho. Chris, it's the end of the dirt roads.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's kind of bittersweet. So, getting back into the Lolo was everything and more than what I expected. So, it was kind of exciting to be on the road home, I guess, after 6 days on the trail, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's I'm also going to miss it too.
Yeah, well, we still have a little bit left to see, even though the dirt roads have ended. So there's the one more stop in Weippe to take a look at. But yeah, what a crazy adventure. I mean, we started in Montana and here we are.
Yeah, it's been a long one, and you know what? I've enjoyed every mile.
The end of the dirt roads for us came at the same point Lewis and Clark met the Nez Perce, or Nimiipuu Native Americans, for the first time. And once more, all of their lives hung in the balance. The Nimiipuu held a council to decide what to do with the strange, sickly group that had wandered into their village near Weippe, Idaho. The goods, guns, and other materials being carried by the Corps of Discovery would have made this tribe the richest in North America. And the Nimiipuu decided the best course of action would be to kill them and take their possessions. However, an old woman named Weippe pleaded for their lives. She'd been captured years before and taken to Canada, where the white people there had been kind to her and cared for her well-being. Weippe insisted that these were good people who deserved their help, not their violence. And in the end, one old woman persuaded the council to let the Corps of Discovery live and to help them recover from the toll the Bitterroot and Clearwater Mountains had taken on them. It was this last chance of fate and human empathy that saved their lives. And this open valley on the edge of the Idaho Palouse region is where we made our last stop in Weippe, Idaho, and found one more Lewis and Clark story to share. Welcome to Weippe, Idaho, a little oasis at the end of the Bitterroot Mountains. Now, when Lewis and Clark got here, they met with a large village of Nez Perce or Nimiipuu Native Americans, and that interaction went well. They decided to be friends, and they finally got to eat food, so they traded for dried fish and for roots. The Native Americans were doing all these kind of special things with roots. But the problem is that almost every single person in the company, like 35 men, came down with dysentery. Partly because they had been subsisting on like horse flesh, or as they call it in the journals, horse beef, and whatever they could scrounge up, a grouse here and there. And so they were extremely malnourished. So when they ate the dried fish and they ate the roots, they kind of gorged themselves, and their digestive systems just said, we're not having it. So for a long time, I think it's a week or longer, the entire company was down with diarrhea, with vomiting, guys were like laying down on the side of the road, and it was like the Bitterroot's last kind of kick in the pants to the Corps of Discovery that came through here. But they all recovered, and from here, they made it to the Clearwater River. The Clearwater River runs into the Columbia River, and the Columbia River runs into the Pacific Ocean. So after they made it down off the mountains, they made it back into the water, and from there it was relatively smooth sailing to the Pacific, finishing 18 months of travel from where they started to the Pacific Ocean. And all told, we've been gone from our homes for about 8 days. So we have had an incredible adventure starting in Montana, seeing all the different historical markers, reliving this story of Lewis and Clark, and having a blast seeing the views, the lakes, and just experiencing the rugged Idaho outback at its best. So thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm Will from Venture to Roam.
Really fun, I would say, too, to do the Lewis and Clark trip and add in like little bits of history along the way. It was really special. I have one regret, though.
What's that?
That you and Chris didn't have to get your chainsaws out.
We regret that too.
Otherwise it was a perfect.
It was really cool how we went really close to where Lewis and Clark went, and I had a lot of fun.
Having to put air back in the tires when we hit pavement and everything like that, it's kind of a sad sound because it was so much fun. It was a new adventure on every turn. We saw some really beautiful scenery, it was really cool to walk in their footsteps too.
The lake was super pretty. Yeah. And also the sunset with the rain on the lake. That was super beautiful. Also there were a lot of wildflowers, so I got to paint a lot of them, which I really enjoyed.
Bella?
I thought it was cool to travel on the same roads that Lewis and Clark did stuff, because it's a really big important part of our history as a country.
To actually do something that combines, beautiful scenery with, some really important, interesting history. Yeah, it just kind of had everything.
And they galloped their horses as fast as...
I'm so sorry. I'm being eaten alive by mosquitoes. Speaking of eating, good Lord, I can freaking feel them eating me. Okay.
I'll go fast.
Do
you want to walk?
Yes,
Here.
something.
They're bad.
I was doing my best.
Is this still recording?
Yes.